Left front stove burner has been broken since 2023. If you want to boil water, you use the right rear one, which tilts slightly because one of its rubber feet melted into a gray smudge. Every morning at 5:45 a.m., you stand in your kitchen, breathing in the familiar smell of old linoleum and your neighbor's burnt toast, and wait for your cheap percolator to finish sputtering. A brand new commercial grade Wolf range costs about $6,500, with the custom carpentry required to fit it into your cramped kitchen. Let's call it $12,000. Your primary brokerage account currently holds $14.2 million. Your secondary dividend portfolio holds another $3.8 million. You could buy the appliance company. Instead, you use a folded-up piece of a cereal box to level the grate. "Morning," Arthur greets you as you step onto the sidewalk. He's sweeping the gravel outside your building. His neon work vest zipped tight against the morning chill. "Looks like rain later." "Hey, Arthur." "Yeah, skies look heavy," you say, pulling your canvas jacket closer. "It's an old Carhartt you bought at a thrift store 7 years ago. The cuffs are frayed, but the brass zipper still works perfectly. Got my umbrella just in case." "Smart man," Arthur says, leaning on his broom. "Hey, you catch the game last night?" You talk for 4 minutes about the local team's terrible defense. Arthur thinks you're a night shift data entry clerk or an archivist for the city records department. You've never explicitly told him that, but when he once remarked that you looked like a guy who spends a lot of time looking at old papers, you just smiled and said, "It's quiet work." The truth is, your work is incredibly quiet now because you don't do it anymore. You walk 3 blocks to the subway station, swiping your transit card at the turnstile. The fare is $2.90. If you took an Uber to your destination every day, it would cost about $26 each way. Over a year, that's roughly $13,000. It's not that you can't afford the $13,000. It's that you value the absolute invisibility of the train. In a crowded car full of people staring at their phones, you are nobody. You are a ghost in a faded jacket. You bypass the soaring glass towers where men in custom-tailored suits rush through, revolving doors. You used to be adjacent to that world. You spent 15 years as a mid-level systems analyst for an institutional fund. You weren't a hotshot trader. You were the person who built the automated compliance scripts that made sure the hotshot traders didn't accidentally violate SEC regulations while they were spending their $200,000 bonuses on leased sports cars, beach rentals, and divorces. You were living in the same one-bedroom apartment, eating black beans and rice, and putting 70% of your take-home pay into broad market index funds and boring utility stocks. When the company was acquired 5 years ago, your stock options ballooned. You didn't buy a boat. You liquidated them, paid the capital gains tax, and went back to sleep. You step into a narrow slot of a donut shop squeezed between a dry cleaner and a luggage repair shop. The air inside is thick with hot grease and powdered sugar. "The usual?" the girl behind the counter asks. Her name tag says Sarah. She has a silver ring through her septum and tired eyes. "Please, you say." She slides a medium black coffee and a plain cake donut into a brown paper bag. "That's $4.50. You hand her a $5 bill. "Keep the change, Sarah." "Thanks," she murmurs, tossing the coins into a plastic cup. You take your bag to a small laminate table in the corner. This is your daily luxury. Not a yacht, not a penthouse. A $4.50 breakfast in a shop where the fluorescent lights hum a slightly flat B-flat. You sit there, chew your dense, unglamorous donut, and pull up your phone. You don't open social media. You open your brokerage dashboard. The screen loads. Because of a market rally in tech manufacturing overnight, your net worth has fluctuated upward by $94,203 since you went to bed. You look at the number. Then you look at your donut. You pick up a stray crumb with the pad of your index finger, put it in your mouth, and wipe your hands on a cheap paper napkin. "The thing people don't understand about the market right now is leverage," your brother-in-law, Dave, says, leaning across the dinner table. He waves a fork loaded with garlic mashed potatoes to emphasize his point. If you're not using debt to multiply your upside, you're basically losing money to inflation. It's simple math. It's Sunday evening, and you are at your sister's house in the suburbs. Their home is a beautiful, sprawling colonial with a 3-car garage and a lawn so perfectly green it looks synthetic. Is that right? You say mildly, taking a sip of water. Absolutely, Dave says, his face flushing with the enthusiasm of a man who watches too many financial influencers on YouTube. Take the new ride. I lease the electric luxury SUV. Sure, the monthly payment is a kick in the pants, but I keep my cash free to invest in these pre-IPO tech syndicates. I'm telling you, you've got to stop keeping your money in a savings account. You're letting the banks win. Your sister looks up from cutting her son's chicken. Dave, leave him alone. Not everyone wants to take risks like you do. He likes his security. She gives you a sympathetic, slightly pitying look. How is work, anyway? Are they still cutting hours in your department? It's stable, you lie smoothly. You retired 18 months ago, but you told your family you transitioned to a part-time remote consulting role to explain why you are always available during the day. They keep me on a retainer for legacy system maintenance. It's not a lot of hours, but it covers the rent. Well, thank goodness for that, your sister sighs. But honestly, you should let Dave look at your retirement allocation, even if it's just a few $1,000s. He made $12,000 last month on some crypto project. 12,000 net, Dave corrects proudly, puffing out his chest. Before fees. But yeah, I could give you some pointers. Get you out of that cramped apartment. You've been there, what, 10 years? 12, you say, smiling gently. Man, I don't know how you do it. I need space. If I don't have a yard, I feel like I'm in prison. Dave reaches for the wine bottle, a $65 Cabernet that he made sure to mention the price of when he opened it. More wine? No, thank you. I'm driving, you say. Your car is a 2011 Honda Civic with a dent in the passenger door from an unidentified shopping cart. It has 142,000 miles on it, the air conditioning takes about 10 minutes to get cold, and it will easily run for another 100,000 miles. As Dave continues to lecture the table on the virtues of digital real estate, you do some mental math. You know Dave's situation because your sister often calls you to vent when she's stressed. They have a $750,000 mortgage at a steep interest rate. They owe $45,000 on credit cards. The car lease is $100 and $200 a month, and their country club membership is another $800. Dave's pre-IPO syndicates are high-risk micro-cap scams. Beneath the glittering surface of their suburban paradise, they are precisely 3 missed paychecks away from total, catastrophic insolvency. Dave looks at you and sees a failure. He sees a 50-year-old man in a faded polo shirt, with no partner, no kids, no luxury vehicle, and a career that stalled out at data clerk. He feels a comfortable superiority over you, a benevolent arrogance that allows him to be generous with his unsolicited advice. And you let him have it. In fact, you nurture it. If Dave knew you had $18 million, the entire ecosystem of your family would collapse. The dynamic would shift instantly from patronizing pity to desperate expectation. First, it would be a loan to pay off the credit cards. Then a business venture Dave wants you to fund. Then resentment when you ask for financial statements or set boundaries. Your sister would wonder why you didn't pay for her kids' private school tuition. Your mother would suggest you buy her a condo in Florida. Friends you haven't spoken to since high school would suddenly find your email address to tell you about their hardships. Wealth is a magnet for other people's complications. Poverty, or the illusion of it, is a beautiful shield. I'll definitely think about what you said regarding the leverage, Dave. You say, setting your napkin down. It sounds like you've got a real handle on where the macroeconomy is going. Dave beams, completely satisfied with himself. Anytime, brother, just want to see you win, you know? When you leave their house that night, you drive back to the city along the parkway. The Civic hums along smoothly. You roll the window down, letting the cool evening air fill the cabin. You don't turn on the radio. You just listen to the tires on the asphalt. You feel an overwhelming, profound sense of peace. You don't need Dave to know you are winning. The fact that he thinks you are losing is your favorite part of the game. On a Tuesday in October, your apartment building's reality catches up with you. You are sitting at your small wooden desk, reviewing the quarterly earnings report for a boring logistics company you own $2% of, when you hear a wet, heavy thud from the bathroom. You walk in to find a steady stream of dirty gray water cascading from the ceiling fixture onto the toilet seat. The apartment above yours is occupied by Mrs. Gable, an 80-year-old woman who frequently forgets that she turned on her bathtub faucets. Within an hour, the building superintendent, Frank, is in your bathroom with a wrench and a plastic bucket. Frank is a man made entirely of gray hair, tobacco smoke, and cynicism. "It's the mainline expansion joint," Frank grunts, wiping a streak of black grease across his forehead. "Gable's tub overflowed, but the pipe underneath is rusted through anyway. I can patch it, but honestly, the whole line needs to be ripped out. The landlord ain't gonna do it. He'll wait till the ceiling falls in completely before he spends that kind of cash." You look at the water dripping into the bucket. How much would it cost to fix it right? For the whole line, professional crew, probably $5,000, maybe $6 because they gotta open up the drywall in 3 apartments. Frank shakes his head. "Forget about it. I'll put some silicone tape on it and a piece of plastic sheeting. Just don't take any long showers." After Frank leaves, you sit back down at your desk. You could buy the entire building from the landlord by making a single phone call to your attorney. You could move into a 5-star hotel for the next 6 months without noticing the expense. Instead, you look at the ceiling. You like this building. You like the creaky floors. You like the fact that the mail carrier knows your name. You don't want to move. You open your laptop and log into an anonymous LLC email account you use for certain transactions. You send a message to your attorney. "The building I reside in has a severe plumbing issue in the B-line stack. The landlord is negligent. Please contact the property management company anonymously. Offer to buy the building under our private entity at a fair market valuation, or offer a private, anonymous grant to cover immediate infrastructure repairs to the plumbing system, structured so the landlord believes it's an insurance subsidy. Do not disclose my name under any circumstances." 2 days later, Frank knocks on your door again. He looks utterly bewildered. "You ain't gonna believe this," Frank says, holding a brand-new commercial-grade pipe cutter. "The landlord just called me, said some weird insurance settlement from 5 years ago finally came through. They're bringing in a licensed plumbing crew tomorrow morning, ripping out the whole stack, replacing everything with copper. They're even paying for drywall replacement." "Wow," you say, putting on an expression of mild surprise. "That's amazing luck, Frank." "Luck? In this building?" Frank spat into a rag. "Somebody up there must have made a mistake. But hey, I ain't complaining. They're replacing my old tools, too." Watching the plumbers work the next day is deeply satisfying. You sit in your living room, reading a book while the sounds of drilling and hammering echo through the walls. Your money intervened in reality, corrected a problem, improved the lives of everyone in the building, and left absolutely no footprint. That afternoon, you walk down to the park. The autumn leaves are turning bright orange and gold, falling across the concrete paths. You sit on a bench next to an old man who is feeding pigeons from a bag of stale bread. He looks at you, then at your worn canvas jacket. "Cold one today." "It is, you agree." He reaches into his pocket and pulls out an extra-wrapped hard candy, a butterscotch drop. He offers it to you. "Here, for the chill." "Thank you," you say. You take the candy, unwrapped it, and put it in your mouth. It tastes sweet, artificial, and exactly like childhood. If you had been sitting there in a bespoke suit, looking like a person who possessed 18 million, that old man would never have offered you a butterscotch drop. He would have looked at you with suspicion, or envy, or indifference. By shedding the armor of wealth, you remain part of the human fabric. You are still allowed to receive small, unprompted kindnesses. People think that being rich means buying things. They don't understand that the greatest luxury wealth provides is the ability to say no. You don't have to say yes to a bad boss. You don't have to say yes to a toxic client. You don't have to say yes to social obligations you dread, or trends you find ridiculous, or a lifestyle that requires constant maintenance. Your wealth is entirely defensive. It's an invisible wall that keeps the chaos of the world at bay. To maintain that wall, however, you have to be disciplined about your digital footprint. Every 3 months, you audit yourself. You search your name online. You check data brokers to ensure your current address isn't listed. Your name isn't on the lease of your apartment. It's held by a corporate entity that belongs to another entity registered in Delaware. Your utilities are paid through a private management bank account. If someone looks you up on professional networks, they'll find an outdated profile with a grainy 10-year-old photo that lists you as an independent contractor. It looks like the profile of a person who gave up on the corporate ladder years ago. One Friday afternoon, you receive a phone call from an unknown number. Usually, you let them go to voicemail, but you are expecting a delivery confirmation for an old out-of-print book you ordered. Hello? Hello? Is this John? The voice is loud, sharp, and dripping with aggressive friendliness. It has the distinct cadence of a high-end financial advisor. Yes? John, my name is Craig from Private Wealth Management. I'm calling because our internal analytics flagged your account profile recently. We noticed some significant asset allocations that aren't being actively managed by an advisor, and we'd love to invite you to a private dinner downtown next Thursday to discuss how we can optimize your estate planning and capital preservation. A cold spike of adrenaline hits your stomach, not because you are in danger, but because the system blinked. The automated algorithms notice the size of your balance sheet relative to your complete lack of activity. I think you have the wrong person, you say, keeping your voice flat, slightly confused and tired. My account has about $4,000 in it. I use it for an old IRA from a job I left years ago. A pause on the line. You can hear a keyboard tapping. The caller is checking his screen. Oh, Craig says, his voice instantly losing its oily warmth. The friendliness vanishes, replaced by the curt efficiency of a salesman who realizes he is talking to a dead end. Ah, let me check the account suffix. Oh, I see. My apologies. It looks like there was a data cross-reference error in our system generation. Sorry to disturb you. It's fine, you say. Have a good day. You hang up. You don't wait. You immediately call your attorney. Marcus, you say when he answers. The retail advisory team at my primary firm just flagged my index account. A broker called me directly. Marcus sighs on the other end. The automated compliance flags. Even with the privacy blocks, when a single account crosses certain thresholds without an institutional wrapper, their wealth management division tries to poach it internally. I'll handle it today. We'll split the capital across 4 different custody banks using blind trusts. It'll take 48 hours to clear, but it will pull you off their retail advisory radar entirely. Do it, you say. I don't want anyone calling me. I don't want an advisor. I don't want a corporate dinner. Consider it done. Go back to your coffee. You hang up and lean against your kitchen counter. Your heart is beating slightly faster than usual. It is a reminder of how fragile the silence is. The world is desperate to categorize you. It wants to put you in a box so it knows how much to charge you, how to tax you, what to sell you, and how to resent you. Staying out of the box requires constant, vigilant effort. In June, the city becomes an oven. The asphalt radiates heat like a stovetop, and the air is thick with humidity. To escape the heat, you do something you rarely do. You buy a ticket to an evening charity gala. You didn't buy it under your own name, of course. Your anonymous LLC had donated a significant sum to a local children's hospital initiative, and the donation came with 2 VIP tickets to the summer benefit held at a rooftop gallery downtown. You didn't go to network or to be seen. You went because the gallery was hosting an exhibition of architectural photography that you desperately wanted to see in person, and the gala was the only way to access it before the pieces were auctioned off. You buy a simple, off-the-rack navy suit from a department store. It costs $350. You have a local tailor take it in slightly so it fits correctly, but it is completely devoid of luxury branding. No silk lining, no custom stitching. When you arrive at the gallery, the scene is exactly what you expect. The rooftop is an ocean of linen, silk, diamond earrings, and expensive perfume. Waiters in white jackets move through the crowd carrying silver trays of champagne and miniature truffles. You keep to the perimeter, moving slowly through the photography exhibit. The images are stunning, large, high-resolution prints of modern residential architecture that integrates nature directly into living spaces. One photograph shows a house built into a tropical cliffside, with massive sliding glass walls that open completely to the ocean, treating the horizon not as a view, but as interior decor. You stand in front of that image for a long time. You have a notebook at home filled with sketches of a house like that. A house with a completely integrated patio, hidden solar arrays, a private well, and no neighbors for miles. You could build it tomorrow. You could buy the cliffside. Beautiful, isn't it? You turn. A woman is standing next to you, holding a glass of white wine. She is in her late 40s, wearing an elegant black dress and an emerald necklace that probably costs more than your entire apartment building. Her expression is pleasant, but slightly bored. It is, you say. The way the architect uses the glass to eliminate the boundary between the interior and the exterior is brilliant. She smiles, looking at you more closely. She looks at your suit, your face, your lack of an expensive watch. She is doing the calculation that everyone in this room does automatically. Who are you, and what can you do for me? I'm Elena, she says, extending a hand. John, you say, shaking her hand briefly. Are you an architect, John? No, just someone who appreciates clean lines. Ah. She takes a sip of her wine, her eyes wandering past your shoulder to scan the room for someone more important. Well, it's a lovely event. My husband and I sponsored the catering. It's so important to give back when you've been fortunate. It is, you say. A man steps up beside her, tall, tanned, with perfectly capped teeth and an incredibly rare luxury watch gleaming on his wrist. Elena, darling, the guests of honor just arrived. We should go say hello. Elena looks back at you, giving you a polite, dismissive nod. Nice chatting with you, John. Enjoy the photos. Thank you, you say. You watch them walk away. They move through the crowd like ships cutting through water, people parting to let them through, hands reaching out to touch their elbows, voices rising to catch their attention. They are performing their wealth. They are wearing it like heavy golden armor, demanding that the world acknowledge their success every second of every day. You walk away from the crowd and step toward the massive, floor-to-ceiling glass window that overlooks the city. The sun is setting, casting a deep amber glow across the skyline. The glass towers of the financial district look like pillars of fire in the evening light. Below, the streets are choked with traffic, tiny red and white lights crawling through the canyons of concrete. Millions of people are down there, rushing home, worrying about their rent, their promotions, their debts, their appearances. You lean your hand against the cool glass. Nobody in this room knows who you are. If you walked up to the auctioneer and offered to buy every single photograph on the walls with cash, they would laugh until your bank verified the wire transfer. If you wanted to, you could have bought the gallery, but you don't want to. The true power of wealth isn't the ability to buy the world. It's the ability to walk away from it. It's the freedom to stand in a room full of millionaires wearing a $350 suit and feel absolutely no need to prove that you belong. You look at your reflection in the dark glass. Your hair is graying at the temples. There are lines around your eyes. You look exactly like an ordinary person who worked an ordinary job and lived an ordinary life. You smile at your reflection. It is the best disguise money can buy. At 9:30 p.m., you leave the gala early. You walk down the carpeted stairs, past the valets who are rushing to park exotic sports cars, and walk into the warm summer night. You walk 4 blocks to the nearest subway station. You take off your tie, roll it up, and stuff it into your jacket pocket. You unbutton your top collar, letting the humid air cool your neck. When you get back to your neighborhood, the streets are quiet. The corner bodega is still open, its neon sign buzzing faintly in the dark. You walk inside. The old man behind the counter, a guy named Sal, who has lived on this block for decades, looks up from a tiny television set. Hey, John, you look sharp. You go to a funeral or something? A work event, Sal, you say, leaning against the counter. Just a compliance dinner. Ah, those corporate things. Bores you to death, right? Sal shapes his head, reaching into the cooler behind him. You want a cold soda? On the house. You look like you had a long night. No, Sal, I can't let you do that, you say, pulling out a crumpled $5 bill. Give me a seltzer, keep the change. Sal takes the bill, sliding the cold can across the counter. You're too honest, John. That's your problem. In this world, you gotta take what's free. Maybe you're right, you say, opening the can. The sharp hiss of carbonation is loud in the small shop. You walk out and stand on the sidewalk outside your building. The broken left burner on your stove is still waiting for you uppercase. The cereal box shim is probably still keeping the grate level. Tomorrow morning, you will get up at 5:45 a.m., wait for the percolator to cough, and walk down to the donut shop to buy a $4.50 breakfast. You take a long drink of the cold seltzer. Your wealth is a secret you will carry until you decide to pass it on anonymously to someone who won't let it ruin them. Until then, you are exactly where you want to be. You pull out your keys, unlock the heavy iron door of your building, and step inside into the quiet, beautiful dark.